OK, travelling home for Christmas, just a few days away now, is going to be made a lot harder as Storm Pia causes chaos across the UK.
Yes, the Met Office is releasing yellow weather warnings across large parts of the country, with travellers being warned to plan ahead. 80 mile per hour winds are causing cancellations across the network, with many rail operators having to comply with speed restrictions. But just how bad could the weather get? So joining us now is weather forecaster John Ketley. John, I know there's been considerable disruption in Scotland today with the trains. What about for the rest of the country? Are things going to get a lot worse as this comes down south?
No, it won't be coming any further south now. It looks like it's been peaking during the early part of the afternoon, and we are going to see these winds very, very, very slowly abating in the next 24 hours. But it will stay pretty windy right the way through this coming weekend and up towards Christmas Day. The problem is, at the moment, we've got this storm, as you say. It's over the south of Norway just now. It's heading off towards probably Denmark in the next few hours. And it is bringing plenty of showers, clusters of showers along with it. Gusts up to 80 miles an hour at Emley Moor. That's near Huddersfield this morning, and about 75 to 80 miles an hour up in the north and northwest of Scotland as well. So it's pretty fierce. It's obviously causing a lot of disruption for travellers, not least the rails. You can't travel very well further north than Newcastle, and lots of ferries are abandoned. And also we've got problems with aircraft actually trying to land. I know Nigel Calder was on saying it isn't a big deal at the moment. But some of the aircraft are being diverted from the airport they thought they were going to land at. And it's pretty tricky wherever you are north of, say, Birmingham. That's where the strongest winds are. So it's a pretty lively old day, I have to say. It's a British winter storm, I suppose you'd call it that. At the moment, there isn't any snow to talk about, but there will be eventually. Yeah,
so is Huddersfield the worst affected then?
Well, Huddersfield up on Emley Moor, which is about 800 to 900 feet above sea level, but that's where you've got the highest gust at the moment. It is causing huge issues, of course, at Leeds Bradford Airport. That's the highest in the country, so very difficult trying to land aircraft in that part of the world. But we've also got some snow to come, so I will just point this out. I'll preempt your next question, Emily. There is some snow likely. Now, there's a band of rain which is going to intensify across Scotland during Friday. And that band of rain will readily turn to snow up on the higher ground, not even high ground. Above about 200 metres, we'll start to see the snow settling during Friday and into Saturday. And it will cause lots of problems up in the far northeast of Scotland. So you're going up towards, certainly Grampians, up towards Inverness and Thurso and all these sort of places, Wick. These sort of areas could well see some pretty heavy snowfall in the next 24, 36 hours. So although the winds are abating somewhat, it's a case of looking out for some more heavy rain, possible flooding up in the north there, and also some snow which will settle.
No snow in Aberdeenshire, where I have family there. Any snow there?
I think there will be some snow in Aberdeenshire as well, Emily. Yes. Any more counties you'd like to mention?
West Sussex, John?
West Sussex, absolutely not.
Going to be a boring one for me.
It'll be a balmy Christmas for you in Sussex.
Yeah.
Right.
The temperatures are pretty high. You know, we're going to have, I think, Christmas Eve, Sunday, will be the mildest of these days, about 12 to 15 degrees. Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah.
For the end of December.
Balmy
but then it does start to turn colder during Christmas Day from the north. So we'll see the northerly winds start to move further south during Christmas Day. But it will be green for most of us, I'm afraid.
Great stuff. John Ketley, weather forecaster, meteorologist, thank you so much. And now, turning to more of the travel disruption, we go live to GB News reporter Jack Carson, who's in a cancellation-ridden Nottingham train station. Jack, any trains on the go there?
Well, particularly if you're trying to travel on the East Midlands Railway, very much you're going to be severely delayed or even cancelled as well, because particularly services within the intercities, within the regions, are because of, in some cases, because of how strong the winds are on the network, but in other cases because of disruptions across the network. There have been some lots of cancellations and lots of delays here. Some trains getting here possibly half an hour up to over an hour past their scheduled arrival time here into the city. And for a lot of people that have come into Nottingham today, what they're finding is they're coming back to the station to try and get their train home, and they're having to be diverted quite far out to almost come back in on themselves to try and get round and be diverted around the disruption, particularly between Nottingham and Hucknall. That's where a lot of the disruption around here, Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire, is. That's because there's damage on the net tram overhead wires, which has also caused problems at the level crossing crossing there at Bulwell, and the barriers there. So that's one of the problems there. But I spoke to Susan and Kevin, who had just got to the Nottingham station to try and get home. They spoke to me outside the station a little bit earlier on.
Well, we came from Newark and we get with no problems at all. We got a late train that was delayed, so we got here fine. And then we've just been told now that we're trying to get back to Newark from Nottingham, and we have to go via Sheffield, which is a bit of a trek. So we're looking for a taxi.
Now, yeah.
It's like going up north and coming back down again. So we're looking for a taxi. It'll cost us however much for a taxi home. So, which it is what it is.
I mean, how do you feel? Because obviously it's quite close to Christmas, and people doing the last bits of shopping, and it's going to be busy anyway.
What can you do?
It's not their fault. A tree's fallen on the line. I mean, this is weather. It's just what it is. Nothing we can do.
Yeah, well, a little bit of Great British spirit there, just getting on with the job. Well, it's not their fault. They've got a taxi, and hopefully they'll be heading back to Newark now. But obviously the train services have got together and saying that if you are on one of the disrupted networks, that you can travel on other railways at no extra charge to try and get round. But elsewhere across the country as well, TransPennine Express asking travellers just not to travel on their services anywhere from Edinburgh. Of course, it's Scotland, particularly with those winds, and around the Lake District as well, which is where a lot of the disruption is coming. And as the weather, of course, spreads out here at Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire, the disruption of trees on the line and overhead wires going down is what's causing most of the disruption.
Great stuff. Jack Carson in Nottingham, thanks very much. Stay warm, my friend. It's unbelievably as well, Paddington Station, the UK's second busiest station, as far as I understand, Network Rail closing it on Christmas Eve, when everyone's going to be travelling to and fro, in and out of the capital, closing it for repair works. Isn't
Christmas Eve the peak of travel? And I'm sorry we didn't ask the weather expert about every single county in the country. We did use our position, use our privilege on that one.